What's going on, Fantasy Ballers? It's the Commissioner Flex. If you're watching this on Fantasy Ballers, you should be watching this on Fantasy Ballers 2.0 as the league is now running up and going. Fantasy Ballers will be shutting down in a week. So, I'm basically just leaving it up running so that everybody can make sure and check that they don't see anything any different. Like I was trying to explain in the C box, the only difference as far as points reflection, I try to switch it up if you took a loss. If I wasn't gonna sit there and adjust every single point score. If you won, you won. The points should have pretty much benefited you anyway, as that the points basically when they backtracked them, all that they did with the points was whoever was on your roster. It looks like they added up all the points that was on your team for the first 5 weeks. The only people that really affected really is the people that add and drop people every day, as you're only going to get the player that you have right now on your current team all the way back through 5 weeks. So that's why some people took losses. But other than that, I fixed everything. The records are all straight. Everybody's record is matching. The schedule is matching. So I got everything. All the matchups are all going down the way they should be going. Make all your moves and all your transactions on Fantasy Ballers 2.0. We do have 2 injured reserve spots now, so feel free to take advantage of those. I know that was hurting some people earlier on, but let me get up into these standings basically. Moving on into the East, you got the Orlando Magic at 6-0. Mr. DeMilo, I fixed that error for you. You're not 5-1 in 2.0. You are 6-0 in 2.0. So you're 6-0. The Boston Celtics 3-3, 3 games back in that division. Atlanta Hawks 3-3, 3 games back in that division. Cleveland Cavaliers 3-3, 3 games back in that division. And the Miami Heat 1-5, 5 games back in the division. Moving on over to the West, you got the Phoenix Suns at 6-0, still unbeaten. The New York Knicks at 4-2, we're 2 games back in that division. The New Orleans Hornets at 2-4, 4 games back. The Utah Jazz and the LA Lakers both at 1-5, both 5 games back in the West Division. Let's move on up to last week's matchups. We just broke that down. We're going to go ahead and break down matchups for Week 5. Week 5 matchups, the first matchup that I got on here will be the New York Knicks over the Boston Celtics with a score of 1745 to 1044. Leading for the Knicks would be Chris Bosh with 269 points. Leading scorer for the Celtics, Gilbert Arenas with 206 points. The Cleveland Cavaliers got over on the Hornets on last week's matchup for matchup number 2. The Cleveland Cavaliers scored 1,469 points over the Hornets' 1,162 points. The leading scorer for the Cavaliers would be Jason Kidd with 213 points. Leading scorer for the Hornets, Hedo Turkoglu with 164 points for Turk in the loss. Matchup number 3, we got the Miami Heat going up over on the LA Lakers. Score on that one, 1505 to 1435. Dwayne Wade, leading scorer for the Heat, 295 points. Leading scorer for the Lakers, Andre Iguodala with 200 points even. Matchup number 4, the Phoenix Suns, still unbeaten. Highest point total last week. The Phoenix Suns with 1885 versus the Hawks' 1545 or 1542, excuse me. 300-point difference. Leading scorer for the Phoenix Suns, Amari Stoudemire with 218 points. Leading scorer for the Hawks, Dirk with 259 points. Moving on up to the last matchup of last week, you had the Orlando Magic with 1804 over the Utah Jazz with 1588. Leading scorer for the Magic, Brendan Haywood with 193 points. Leading scorer for the Jazz, Carlos Boozer with 241. Excuse me, a little bit under the weather here, but moving on up to this week's matchups, which are currently underway. Check your scoreboard tab so you can go ahead and get updated. This week's matchups puts the 4-2 New York Knicks versus the 3-3 Atlanta Hawks, the 2-4 New Orleans Hornets versus the 1-5 Miami Heat, the 1-5 Lakers versus the 3-3 Celtics, the 3-3 Cavaliers taking on the 1-5 Jazz, and the matchup of the week, folks, the matchup of the unbeatens. You got the Phoenix Suns taking on the Orlando Magic. 2 very active owners, 2 guys that should do the week, and this should be a matchup that you guys should be checking up on. Definitely going to affect the standings next week. Not by a lot, but you know what I'm saying, it's going to make it easier for people to catch up. So go ahead, let me flip it on over. Last week's standings through the first 6 weeks or the first 5 weeks, whichever way you want to call it. I guess you want to say 5 weeks because you played 5 weeks. Field goals made, that's going to the Orlando Magic with 1,424 field goals made. Free throws made, that's also going to go to the Magic with 842 free throws made. Three-pointers made, that's going to go to the New York Knicks with 287 three-pointers made. The rebounding category, that's going to go to the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks have 1,461 rebounds on the year so far. Assist category, that's going to go to the Orlando Magic with 812 assists. Steals, also the Orlando Magic. You guys see the pattern here. The guy is 6-0. 264 steals on the year for the Magic. The blocks, we're going to switch that one over to the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks have 266 blocks on the year. Then you got the turnovers. Figure I'd throw these stats in this week since they're up there. Figure I'd kill a little bit more time. The turnovers, with the most turnovers, the Orlando Magic have first in everything, so they might as well have first in turnovers, I guess. Most turnovers in the league with 565. That goes to the Orlando Magic. The best, with the I didn't even write the number, but I know the best team without turnovers is the New Orleans Hornets. Double-doubles, that's going to go to the Phoenix Suns with 53 double-doubles on the year. The triple-double this year goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And points overall for the year, the nitty-gritty, what everybody's playing for, what everybody's trying to put up on the boards. Most points on the year, that's also going to go to the Magic with 3,819 points on the year so far. So that's all going through 5 weeks. Like I said at the beginning, 2.0 is up and ready. Get on it, make your moves on it. I mean, you shouldn't be making any moves on fantasy balls just due to the fact that it's going to be gone. And this is going to be 2.0 is going to be what we're sticking with. 2.0 has the injured reserve spot. 2.0 is basically the same thing other than the fact that we have an injured reserve spot. And the whole reason I created an injured reserve spot or had to create this league was so that we could have this injured reserve spot. So fantasy ballers will be gone by next Sunday. Make sure you guys make all your moves in Fantasy Ballers 2.0. Thanks for your cooperation. Thanks for all your patience. Thanks for tuning into the Fantasy Flex. Leave comments on the C-Box. Leave comments on the page. You want to make video comments, I'll post them up. It's all good. Like I said, the YouTube channel is Flex2481 on YouTube. Just holler at me, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Stay active. And this is this week's Fantasy Flex. Flex out.